and Peking duck. The Great Wall Restaurant is located off 45th and France with takeout available too. More at greatwallrestaurant.us. Nightingale on 26th and Lyndale is the ultimate venue for unforgettable gatherings. Whether big or small, your event will be a hit with delicious food and drinks served in a warm and inviting atmosphere. Plus, Chef Carrie's special creations add that extra touch. Craft cocktails, curated drinks, and a diverse menu make Nightingale perfect for any celebration. More at nightingalempls.com.
Greg Bakun here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight will be cloudy with a low of 41, then Thursday cloudy with a high of 53. The Stephanie Miller Sexy Liberal Comedy Tour is returning to the Pantages Theater in Minneapolis Saturday night, April 13th. Don't miss Steph with Hal Sparks, John Fugelsang, Frangela, and more. Ticket information at am950radio.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story. This is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you for joining me on this lovely Wednesday evening. I am joined from AM 950 Studios. We have Adam back there tonight. Adam, how are you doing?
Doing well, sir. And you're right. It is an absolutely lovely evening for middle of March in Minnesota.
It's incredible. It's a strange occurrence indeed. Now, I have to ask you, are you excited to go see Ghostbusters Frozen Empire next week?
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely love that franchise. Anything Ghostbusters, outside of the one cartoon series that they kind of ran, the rest of all the live action stuff I've always dug.
So once again, folks, the link is still going to be up on our pages. Go ahead. If there's tickets left for you for a special screening on March 19th at 7 p.m. at the Icon Showplace in St. Louis Park, go ahead, click the link, and you should still be able to get some tickets for a special preview on March 19th. The film itself opens March 21st, a lot of places March 22nd. That's going to be a pretty. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it. And then Adam, we have one more thing that we're going to be talking about here. We can't really talk about it yet because it's close to being finalized, but it's not quite finalized. So we got to be a little bit careful, don't we?
We do, but when we can't announce it, it's kind of a big one.
It is a big one. It is a big one. It's very cool, and I am definitely looking forward to it. But we got a big one tonight, and I am really, really excited. We've been talking to John Russell for a while to get onto the show, and I'm glad that our schedules have finally worked out. If you don't know Mr. Russell, John Russell has been a professional psychic for 50 years, internationally known. He has provided psychic readings for clients in over 40 countries and still reads for worldwide clientele. He has been a paranormal researcher and investigator since age 11 and has experienced over 1,000 paranormal manifestations. In addition, he is a UFO experiencer. I mean, right there, we have like 4 shows that we could do. Over the decades, John has studied, investigated, and practiced abundance of psychic paranormal disciplines that we're going to get through in the show tonight and maybe in ongoing shows. John filmed a TV pilot for the History Channel in which he physically explored the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln. The accuracy of John's psychic insights during his investigations were verified by docents at the historic sites as he explored, as well as the production team, and he also stimulated paranormal activity, some of which was captured on film. He is a published author of nonfiction with 3 multi-award-winning books in print, Riding with Ghosts, Angels, and the Spirit of the Dead, which we're going to be talking about tonight, A Knock in the Attic, a 3rd book, 20 Ways to Increase Your Psychic Abilities, and published in 2023 and hit the Barnes & Noble Top 100 Best-Selling Books. And John finished authoring his 4th book, The Crying Tree and the Magic Rock, due for publication in 2024, and is writing his 5th volume now, The Canned Sack Ghost. You can go check out John. If you want help with him through psychic abilities, go to johnrussell.net. That's JOHN Russell.net. Or to find out more about his books, go to johnrussellauthor.com. John, welcome to GhostBox Radio.
Greg, thank you for having me, man. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. And I'm glad we finally got our schedules synced up. We've been working on this a long time. So this is going to be epic tonight.
I really appreciate it. And, when looking through the stuff that you have experienced, that you have accumulated over, your lifetime, it's hard. It's almost daunting on my end to know where to start. But one of the things that we brought you in for was to talk about your book. And I just really, I really wanted to talk about the Riding with Ghosts, Angels, and Spirits of the Dead, because first of all, I love the name of it.
Thank you.
I mean, it's fantastic. Folks, I just want to say we're going to be talking about the book for a little bit here, but we're going to hit some other subjects based on what you heard that John does. If you have any questions of any kind, just put them into the comments. You can also call in 952-946-6205. The number again is 952-946-6205. I have a feeling that we're going to have a lot to talk about, and we're going to be running out of time here pretty quickly. Now, John, what is your book about?
Well, Riding with Ghosts, Angels, and the Spirits of the Dead is a collection of true stories that I experienced, mostly centered on my motorcycle rides. Now, I've been a biker since I was about 15.
Okay.
And on this current bike, I have almost 114,000 miles, which, as somebody pointed out, is like 4.5 times around the circumference of the earth.
Right.
So a lot of miles. And I've always loved to ride, but it was really funny because with this motorcycle, this current motorcycle that I own, I had started doing some things with my producer that was became my friend, my producer for the History Channel TV pilot, which unfortunately never aired. But my producer and I became friends. We continued to work on projects together. And so the impetus for Riding with Ghosts was the fact that he said, John, he said, start a little blog and put it up on the internet so that when we're talking to TV producers, we can point them in that direction and say, okay, this is more of what we're talking about. This will give you an idea about John and his experiences. And he wanted me to put a few of my experiences on there, just brief snippets of things. And I started to have these incredible, even by my standards, these incredible experiences with the paranormal while I was riding my bike. And I put a few snippets of those on there. And then it dawned on me one day, I remember I was standing in my kitchen at the sink. And it was like this epiphany. It's like you've got to take these experiences and expand them to, the full event, to everything that happened, and then collect these and put them together in a book. And that was going to be my psychic legacy in written form. That was what I was going to leave in book form. So that was the inspiration, the impetus for that. That initially came about, like I say, because my producer unknowingly said, hey, do this. And that led to the book. And like I said, I thought that was going to be my legacy. And then 2 more books followed, and now 2 more books are coming, and then more books are coming after that. But that's what started it all.
Do you feel like that once you start writing and once you got your first book published, it's kind of addictive?
Absolutely. I love writing, and I've always loved writing. I've always loved being a communicator, and I've always loved being a storyteller. And I've been that way ever since I was a kid. And my teachers in school, my English teachers used to tell me, said, "Man, you've got a talent for writing. You need to pursue this. You need to do something with it." And I had written a few things and been published here and there off and on, but it was I knew it was time to get serious about the book, and that just propelled me into the next one and into the next one. And it's I love it. I enjoy it. I love communicating with people. And the best thing is getting the feedback from the readers where, hey, this book changed my life, or it took away a fear I had, or it enabled me to do something. It entertained me. It opened my eyes. So it can't get any better than that.
And that is a big part of it, that people are going to learn from your experiences, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, even if they're not maybe as grand as some of your experiences are, there's going to be enough for them to take away that feel like at least they're not alone.
Absolutely. That, and they will, I learn things from all of my experiences, and then I try and pass that on to the readers. Like, okay, this is what this taught me, and maybe here's how you can apply this to your life. Maybe here's something you can learn to make your life better, or understand your experiences and gain a closer connection to the realm of spirit in a more positive way.
Absolutely. When you wrote the book, or any of the books, are you getting messages from spirit as you're writing the book, as opposed to talking about the experiences you had with spirits?
Not really. It just becomes, at that stage of the game, it becomes writer's work.
Okay.
Plant your butt in the chair and do the work, grind it out. And that's the easiest thing, number one, because of the experiences. The hardest thing, number two, because to do it right and get the words on the paper right and still make it entertaining, that's difficult. So I have to put that work in.
There's a lot of editing, right? That you have to kind of move, kind of whittle things down sometimes.
Yeah, and I'm one of these people. I like to edit as I go. I don't try and write the whole thing and then go back and edit it. To me, that would be daunting. So as I write, I'm a fairly slow writer. It takes me 6 to 9 months to do a book, and I edit it as I go. So as I go, I look at each sentence, I look at each paragraph, I look at each page, I look at each chapter, and when I'm confident that it's good, then I move on to the next. And at some point in your writing, it doesn't matter. I've hired professional editors to work on one of my books, and at some point you have to say, okay, it's good enough. Leave it alone, get it out there, move on. You can nitpick to death, and I think that's the enemy. Like Mark Cuban always says on Shark Tank, the enemy of good is perfection. And there's no perfection, so you have to reach a point where you say, okay, this is as good as it can be, and move on from there.
Absolutely. We are talking with Psychic John Russell. He's also an author. We've kind of been talking a little bit, and we want to talk a little bit about the book Riding with Ghost Angels and the Spirits of the Dead, but he has written a number of books, and he's very accomplished. And I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about, when it comes to Riding with Ghost Angels and the Spirits of the Dead, what is a piece of the book that really stands out for you that might get people to kind of be like, oh, this is fairly interesting?
I think the thing that stands out for me is the opening of the book, where I briefly touch on the Lincoln investigation that I did, the paranormal investigation of the Lincoln assassination. And one of the strange things when I did that, and I write more at length about that and kind of go behind the scenes about that in my second book, A Knock in the Attic. But that's what starts the book off in Riding with Ghosts, is talking about that and the obsession that overcame me about where is Lincoln's funeral hearse. And I became literally obsessed with that. And I asked, and I didn't know why I became so obsessed with it. And I asked my producer, I said, do you know where it is? No. Did any of the production crew know? No. Did any of the Lincoln experts we talked to know where it was. No. And it became my obsession to find it. I wanted to stand in front of it. I wanted to get the energies, the vibrations from it, and add that into the investigation to what I had already done. And seemingly no one knew where it was. So years later, and a move across the country, we were living in New York, and we moved to Florida. And I had this psychic prompt to ride to Tallahassee, to our state's capital. And I loved long distance riding. It wasn't uncommon for me to do 500 miles in a day, and
Sure.
and so that was no step for a stepper. And so I had to schedule myself a day off, and I got the bike ready and loaded it up and headed out for Tallahassee. And on the way there, I passed this automotive museum, the Tallahassee Auto Museum. And I got this psychic prompt. It's like, this is where you're supposed to go. Go in here. This is where you're supposed to be. I was like, this doesn't make any sense, because I thought I was going on into Tallahassee. So I've learned to listen to the guys. And so I said, okay. So I pulled in, and I walked inside, paid my fee, for my ticket. And as soon as I got inside and started walking through, I saw this object. And I said, that's why I'm here. And I made my way to it. And the sign says, this is Lincoln's funeral hearse.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
And I literally looked around to see if Lincoln's ghost might be there looking at me and grinning. And I stood before this thing, and I looked at it and looked at it. And so the lesson for me there, even with all the experiences I had, the knowledge I had of the other side, was that the other side listens to us. They see us, they hear us, they pay attention to us. And when it's possible, they will do what they can to connect us with our desires and to bring closure and to make sense of things. And so, yes, somebody did know where the Lincoln hearse was, somebody on the other side. And it just took a move of 1,000 miles and a ride of, several hundred miles to get there and to make that connection and to be able to experience that. So that was phenomenal for me.
So I want to take a break here in a second, but I do want to ask you before we go to break, though, I want to ask you, do you think you were the one meant to find it again? Absolutely.
And to write about it in the book, and to bring that to the readers, that, it's the other side is real. The other side hears us. They see us. They can communicate with us. If we'll learn to listen, we'll learn to pay attention, and they can put the puzzle pieces together. They can bring that closure. They can put those, tie those loose ends up for us.
Do you mind when we come back to talk more about Lincoln? And would you be okay if I took a little bit of your time in the show to kind of set up a piece of evidence that I got that I'd like to play for you?
Absolutely. I'd love that.
All right. Thank you for that. Let's take our first break. When we come back, we're gonna continue this amazing conversation with psychic and author John Russell. There's a lot to talk about. Don't be afraid to put your questions in the comments or give us a call.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
If you own a holistic or metaphysical business and are looking to expand, then you need to be listed on metamorphosisconnections.com. It's a network where you can grow with like-minded practitioners and reach new clients. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory you need to list yourself and your business. Our platform makes it easy for you to create listings of your products and services, and you can also choose to list your classes, events, and so much more. Metamorphosisconnections.com helps you create weekly and monthly promotional ads targeted towards your potential clients and promotes them for you via social media and newsletter. There are clients searching for your specialty right now. Let us help them find you. Start your listing today so you can share your own unique gifts and talents by finding the level of membership that best fits your needs. Let us help you reach your clients that are searching for what you do. Visit metamorphosisconnections.com and sign up today.
Twin Cities Pagan Pride is thrilled to host Paganicon 2024, March 15th through the 17th at the Crown Plaza, Minneapolis West Hotel. Come to Paganicon to experience deep community where people gather to learn, socialize, and get inspired. Check out all our featured guests and list of activities at tcpaganpride.org and register now for this incredible conference. Paganicon is a pagan conference offering workshops, panels, discussions, social space, music, a ball, vendors, and much more. Paganicon is an educational and social venue for pagans, Wiccans, heathens, druids, people of other folk, craft, indigenous, and magical traditions. Paganicon has a vendor room and third offering art gallery, which are both open to the public all weekend. Paganicon is a safe place, not only to be yourself, but to meet other like-minded individuals. Register now. Check out Paganicon's full weekend, day only, and special event rates. Go to tcpaganpride.org and click on Paganicon to register and get more details.
Greg Bakun here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey, bacon, avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
Feeling like people just don't get the vibrant rainbow unicorn that is your celestial essence? Have you been wondering how you stepped into this infernal, mundane timeline full of muggles, NPCs, and toilet paper shortages? Here at Magus Books and Herbs, we get you, and are staffed with real-life unicorns just waiting to help you rediscover your shine. So come explore your magical side with books, herbs, incense classes, and more at 1848 Central Avenue Northeast in Minneapolis or online at magusbooks.com.
Speaking of Megas Books and Herbs, are you interested in learning traditional Reiki but aren't sure who to trust? Liz Johnson of Megas Books has been teaching and initiating students for over 30 years. Her next open session for Reiki 1 is March 17th, starting at noon. To register or learn more, please visit megasbooks.com. And also, if you have a chance, go down there to the store. They have a full wall full of herbs that they do all sorts of things with. I'm going to have Liz on at some point to talk about what they can do with all that. But they have so many books and tarot cards and everything else. Definitely go down there and check it out. And then, as you heard in the break as well, Twin Cities Pagan Pride is thrilled to host Paganicon 2024 this weekend, March 15th through 17th at the Crown Plaza, Minneapolis West Hotel. Come to Paganicon to experience a deep community where people gather to learn, socialize, and get inspired. Check out all of our featured guests and list of activities at tcpaganpride.org and register now for this incredible conference. Paganicon is a safe place to not only be yourself, but meet other like-minded individuals as well. We are having an incredible conversation with psychic and author John Russell. We haven't even scratched the surface yet, John.
We haven't.
No, not even close. I do want to talk a little bit about my Lincoln stuff, but I think it's also worth talking about before we get into that, because we didn't really talk about it into the bio at all. We talked about your abundance of psychic and paranormal disciplines. Would you mind talking about those a little bit for us, please?
Sure. Yeah, I began to experiment when I was young. One thing I learned was that people they pigeonhole themselves. And so they would be like, well, I'm a psychic, but I'm not a medium, or I can't use a pendulum, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. And I learned at an early age not to pigeonhole myself and to open up to all the disciplines and to experiment with everything. Now, my psychic gift is the centerpiece that ties everything together, and it's front and center in my life because of what I do with my worldwide clientele. So that's on the front burner. But I also experimented with crystal ball gazing and pendulums and the Ouija board and tarot cards and dowsing rods and everything, because I didn't want to limit myself.
Right.
I wanted to experiment with everything and see where it fit in. It's just like in the kitchen, you may have a go-to knife, but you've also got other knives you use, and you've got various cutting boards, and you've got various implements. So you may have one special knife that you use nearly every time you cook, but you also have all these other implements that are there, and they're all valuable. They're all important. even if it's just in a supporting role. So that's what I wanted to do, was experiment with all these things, find out where everything fit into my life, where its niche was, and what I could do with it to utilize it to help myself and to help others, to help my clients.
You know, when I see that there's a lot of other aspects that you are into, such as the occult, such as, like you said, doing Ouija boards and stuff
Right.
like that. I think one of the things that people need to understand, if people think that there's a bad connotation with that,
Sure.
is that knowledge is power, right?
Exactly.
That
Exactly.
there's nothing wrong with knowing about stuff, and it's up to your comfort level about how much you go into it.
That's it. And that's what I write about in my third book, 20 Ways to Increase Your Psychic Abilities. I tell people, look, find niches that you're comfortable with and explore that. And if something scares you or something is antithetical to your belief system or whatever, don't mess with it. You don't have to fool with it, you know. But one of the things we have to understand about these experiences and about utilizing these techniques is that, you know, we've been taught as a knee-jerk reaction to fear these things, either by our religious upbringing or whatever. And so our normal response is, oh, it must be satanic or demonic or malevolent or evil or harmful or whatever. And it's not. And that's one thing that I work trying to get people past those misconceptions and begin to understand, hey, you know, this is something that is a normal part of our lives. I can connect with it in a safe way, and it can make my life better. And the feedback from my books, especially my third book, people are telling me, you've taken away the fear of this for me. And you've enabled me to practice this in a way that's useful and meaningful in my life.
And I think too, because like, once again, you talk about, and why I keep bringing it up, because I find it very helpful as well, is Ouija boards.
Yeah.
And I don't call them Ouija boards. I call them Ouija boards, I guess.
Right.
But
talking boards.
Right. Exactly. And the thing is, it's like everything that you use in this field, whether it's your own psychic abilities, whether it's a spirit box, whatever it is, you just have to know how to use it properly.
Well, not only that, you have to
Yeah.
understand, I get so tickled, you know, people, the Ouija board, ooh, you know, and what they don't understand, what they're not thinking about in a rational way, is they have all this superstition and fear of the Ouija board, but they have absolutely no hesitation about using a crystal ball, a deck of tarot cards, picking up a pendulum, using dowsing rods, but Ouija board, ooh. And what they don't understand is that it's all the same motive power. You're connecting with the other side in the exact same way, on the exact same frequencies, using the exact same energies, regardless of the method that you use.
Absolutely. And as psychic medium Deb Refined Divine says, it's the intentions put into what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Very much so. And, you know, I mean, and I no shade to anybody who doesn't want to use Ouija boards, you know, no,
right.
I mean, that's you do what you
got to find your comfort level. You got to find your comfort level. But
absolutely,
my main thing is trying to get people to understand the misconceptions that they hold about these things and to free them from those misconceptions. And then they've got additional valuable tools they can use in their lives.
Now, what do you think of this? I think this is a very valid question from Joshua, because a lot of people, and forgive me, Joshua, if I'm not interpreting your question correctly, but he's saying, depending on the board, I'm sorry. Does that mean, is he kind of looking at it as like a haunted object opposed to a device for communication? And
well, you know, look, all objects are haunted. You know, we have to get over that, and we have to understand that. It's like people say, well, I just bought land and I cleared it and I built a brand new house. How can it be haunted? Well, read the book, The Practice of the Wild by Gary Snyder. Mm-hmm. And in this book, he talks about virtually every single place on this planet has been occupied by someone at some time. So people have been in virtually every location on this planet. One really great example of that is here in Florida. There's a place called Matanzas Inlet. Sounds pretty, doesn't it? Sounds festive, sounds restful. Matanzas Inlet. And on this spot where there are restaurants and where people are kite surfing in the ocean, and people are in the inlet fishing, and all these beautiful, relaxful, vacation-y Florida things are going on. Matanzas means slaughter. And on that spot, there's a sign where it talks about the troops slaughtering, killing, murdering this group of people right there on that spot. Right. So, we have all of these things around us. We have all of these energies, all of this history, all of these occurrences that are there. And likewise in the spirit realm, that's why I say every place is haunted. And then in the spirit realm, everything has an attachment. Everything has an energy. Everything has an intelligence or whatever. And so we need to understand that. And it's like people are, one of the biggest things now that I contend with is paranormal investigators going, oh, I have to take all these steps to make sure I don't have an attachment when I get home, or this spirit attached itself and came with me, blah, blah, blah. Guess what, folks? As we sit here right now, wherever you're at, you are in a room filled with spiritual energies, with spirits, your deceased loved ones, guardian angels, spirit guides, nature spirits, other entities that we may not even know what to call, not demonic, not evil, not malevolent, just we don't know how to classify them or what they are. That's all around us right now. And the analogy I always give people is just like people listening to the radio right now. All these radio waves are there in the air around you all the time, 24 hours a day, and you're not aware of it. But if you plug in a radio, turn the dial, oh, there's country music playing. Turn the dial again. Oh, there's jazz. Oh, there's rock.
It's energy.
It's energy, and it's all around us all the time. And likewise, all these spirits are there all the time, and there are ways to tune into that, to communicate with that, and to utilize that in your life in positive ways. So my big thing is getting people over the fear element.
Now, you bring, my mantra since I started doing this is that, like you said, every place is haunted. For people who think that that's not the case, like you just eloquently put, they're wrong. Now, we just did a house cleansing over the weekend, and they wanted to remove the spirits that were bothering them. And our response to that is, we can see if we can help them move to somewhere else. There's no guarantee that we're going to
adapt to the spirits.
Yeah.
Because I have never seen, I've done this. I'm 70 years old this month, for Christ's sakes, which seems impossible. And I became aware of my portal into these unseen experiences when I was 5 years old. I became aware of my psychic gift at 6 years old. Mm-hmm. I began to conduct my own paranormal investigations at 11 years old. And so I've been around the block a few times in this old gig. Sure. And in my experience, we don't close portals. We don't get rid of spirits. Nope. There are times that we can ask spirits to either ameliorate their activities or to tone down their activities, or, hey, give these folks a break, or teach people how to interact with those spirits.
Exactly.
But, they're not subject to our whims of, hey, get out of here, be gone, whatever. Real quick, I just have to tell you this because it's so apropos and it's so funny. There was this lady that had watched one of the quote-unquote big-name psychics on TV. And the person had said, if you want a ghost in your life, just ask and you'll get a ghost. And she said, that sounded fun. So I did. And I got a ghost. And she called me up. She said, John, she said, this thing, the absolutely, totally real physical manifestations began to occur in my home. It freaked me out. I decided I didn't want anything to do with this. I literally moved to try and get rid of the ghost. And it followed me. And I guess it was pissed because where I moved, there was street parking. And it would set off the car alarms and all the cars sequentially up one side of the street and then down the other. And the neighbors said, this has never, ever happened until this woman moved in. She must somehow be causing this. And John, they called the police on me. And she said, I opened the door. 2 police officers are standing there. They're starting to question me about this. And while they're talking to me, The car alarms start going off in sequence up one side of the street, down the other. The cops looked at me, looked at each other, shook their heads, said, don't know what the hell's going on here, but it's not her. And so she says, what do I do? I said, okay, plain and simple. There's a stray dog on the street. Here, boy, come get in the car. I'm taking you home. Come on. Oh, hot dogs. Hallelujah, I got a home. You take it home, and then you're like, no, get out of here. Go find something else. I said, think of the insult that is. You're insulting a feeling, sentient being. So you've asked for this being to come into your life. And it did. And it manifested to let you know that it was there. Scared the life out of you. Now you don't want nothing to do with it. You told it to go away. You moved to try and get away from it. You ticked it off. So it's setting the car alarms off. Hey, I'm still here. Slight ghost me with you. Pardon the pun.
Well, and Joshua's like, because she overstepped with her request to spirit her entity. I mean,
she wasn't prepared for it. Exactly right. Yeah. But she didn't overstep, but she just wasn't prepared for it. Didn't understand what she was getting into.
Well, and I
said, okay, here's what you do. Yeah. Here's how you handle this. I said, you talk to the spirit and you say, look, this is all new to me. I asked for you. I got you. You're real. You're here. It startled me. Take it easy with me. Slow down on the manifestations. I appreciate you being here. I'm sorry I tried to get rid of you. I'm sorry I tried to leave you. I did ask for you, and then I tried to ditch you. I apologize for that. And do this for me. Let's develop a relationship here. You're here, and kind of take it easy on the manifestations till I get used to them. But do this for me. Protect me and watch over the house. And when I have to go out shopping, if you don't go with me, stay with the house, watch over the house, protect the house, keep it safe. And I said, do that and develop a rapport with the spirit that you've asked to come into your life. And that will solve this and you'll become comfortable with this. Now, if it doesn't, there are things that we can do. Holler back at me. But this should solve that. And it did. And she became comfortable with having the spirit that she asked for. And it became a blessing to her.
And imagine that all you're doing is talking to the spirit as intelligence.
Which it is. Because we have to understand, look, when we die and we go to the other side, we retain our memories, our emotions, our feelings, our basic personalities. If Uncle Joe was a trickster here, he's going to be a trickster when he gets over there. He's going to steal your earrings off your nightstand or whatever, and this and the other. We have to understand that our guardian angels and spirit guides have a higher intelligence and capability than we do. We have to understand that there may be nature spirits or things that are not the 6-foot-tall, blue-eyed, blonde angel with wings. They may even be grotesque in appearance. Doesn't mean they're demonic, malevolent, or evil. It just means they don't have an appearance that we relate to or jive with, but they still have emotion, they still have will, they still have purpose, they still have intelligence. So we need to understand the main thing going into communication with the other side, whatever you're doing. Number one, respect. Number two, this understanding that you are communicating with a sentient being. And so you have to take that into account. And again, respect trumps everything.
So before we take our break here, because we need to take our next one, Refined Divine Deb, who is extraordinarily talented as well.
Bless your heart.
You think she loves you. So
thank you. Thank you. Bless your heart. That's so sweet. I appreciate that.
So why don't we go ahead and do this? Let's take our next break. When we come back, we have so much more to talk about, and we'll just go and kind of go wherever we want. If anyone has any questions, put it into the comments, give us a call. We'll go anywhere you want with this. I think
I can see we're going to have another show.
I think we might have to have another show.
Or two or three or four.
Everyone, you're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
Reach your highest level of consciousness and well-being with MetamorphosisConnections.com. MetamorphosisConnections.com is an online directory of the best holistic and metaphysical practitioners to help you make your most informed choices. You can search MetamorphosisConnections.com for classes, events, wellness and life coaches, plus metaphysical products and shops. You can also search for a wide array of healers from all modalities, including EFT, sound healing, energy healing, light therapy, ancestral healing, shamanic healing, reflexology, past life regressions, hypnotherapy, yoga, and more. And if you're not sure where to start, the search feature on MetamorphosisConnections.com is tailored to help both those who know what they are looking for and those who are just starting. Come explore the possibilities for your higher self by visiting MetamorphosisConnections.com. Their experienced practitioners can guide both beginners and those that are already on their spiritual journey. That's metamorphosisconnection.com, your link to direct you on your spiritual transformation.
Twin Cities Pagan Pride is thrilled to host PaganaCon 2024, March 15th through the 17th at the Crown Plaza, Minneapolis West Hotel. Come to PaganaCon to experience deep community where people gather to learn, socialize, and get inspired. Check out all our featured guests and list of activities at tcpaganpride.org and register now for this incredible conference. PaganaCon is a pagan conference offering workshops, panels, discussions, social space, music, a ball, vendors, and much more. PaganaCon is an educational and social venue for pagans, Wiccans, heathens, druids, people of other folk, craft, indigenous, and magical traditions. PaganaCon has a vendor room and third offering art gallery, which are both open to the public all weekend. PaganaCon is a safe place, not only to be yourself, but to meet other like-minded individuals. Register now. Check out PaganaCon's full weekend, day only, and special event rates. Go to tcpaganpride.org and click on PaganaCon to register and get more details.
Magus Books, your multicultural spiritual supply store. Stop in and expand your horizons with books, classes, readings, and supplies at magusbooks.com or in our shop at 1848 Central Avenue Northeast in Minneapolis. From the best incense to beautiful statues, we have supplies and books for your spiritual explorations. Come in and chat with our knowledgeable staff and get what you need for your next adventure, whether you're fighting ghosts or opening your third eye. Check us out today at magusbooks.com.
And I wanted to bring up again, whether you're interested in learning traditional Reiki through Megas Books and Herbs. Liz Johnson of Megas Books has been teaching and initiating students for over 30 years. Her next open session in Reiki 1 is March 17th, starting at noon. To register, learn more, visit megasbooks.com. And I also want to point out tomorrow on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun, we're doing a replay episode. We're going to have on author Anthony F. Sanchez. We're talking about his book, UF Nexus, A Journey into Alien Realms. We had him on back in December, and that was pretty incredible. When we were talking about some government stuff, all of a sudden a bunch of alarms started going off in his house, and we're not really quite sure what all that's about. So that's tomorrow on GhostBox Radio. But before GhostBox Radio, join us tomorrow for Myth or Mystery at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Myth or Mystery is the weekly interactive show where we all, including the viewers, look at videos and vote to decide if what we're looking at is paranormal activity. Tomorrow, one of the videos we're showing is a fascinating video put out by Air Force videographer Robert Jacobs, who claims he watched a UFO shoot down a dummy warhead missile test, claims to be actual footage. So it's a UFO shoot down a dummy warhead missile test, and he claims it's actual footage, and then the Malaysia Flight 370 surrounded by orbs. This video is currently making its rounds online and fueling many conspiracy theories back to life. Is this footage of Flight 370 real? We'll show the video tomorrow. Let's analyze these together. You can watch Myth or Mystery tomorrow on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun's Facebook page tomorrow at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we are having quite the conversation tonight with psychic and author John Russell. We know that you wrote books. We haven't talked about them really at all. So a couple pieces of housekeeping here. If you want to know more, we've been talking about John's psychic abilities. You can go to johnrussell.net to see what he has to offer, how he can help you, but also his books, johnrussellauthor.com. You can go there and see all the books, and you have a new one that's going to be coming out that you're currently working on that's going to be coming out this year, right?
Now I've got one completed that will be coming out hopefully about midsummer, and that's The Crying Tree and the Magic Rock, and more true stories of the paranormal. And then I'm working on, and about 3/4 of the way through, my 5th book, which is The Cansack Ghost, and those are more true paranormal stories. Now I'm also working on my first novel. People have asked me forever and a day, John, have you ever thought about writing a novel with paranormal overtones? And so I started doing that. The antagonist is a serial killer. There will be paranormal overtones that take place in the book. And I've sent out what I've written so far to beta readers, and they say, man, that's going to be a bestseller. So fingers crossed, let's hope it is. So working on that as well. And then there are more nonfiction books on the paranormal to come as well.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Just keep me in the loop, John.
Absolutely.
We can help get the word out. Can we talk about Lincoln again for a little bit?
Absolutely.
So it's interesting because as soon as I read that you had shot that pilot for the History Channel about the assassination of President Lincoln, it is one of my keen fascinations as well. And a matter of fact, about a month ago, we had on a guest where we talked about the whole plot for trying to steal his body from this cemetery in Springfield.
Right.
And so there's a lot there. And so my paranormal realm is through ITC methods, spirit box. But I like to use my form of mediumship to bring through spirits where I'm, because you have to ask them to come forward to be able to get them to come through. And I thought, I'm curious if I can bring through President Lincoln, because I don't know if you've ever seen on Discovery Channel, there was a documentary that was like the last photo of Lincoln. It was a hotly contested photo of a man in bed dead. And it has a similar look to Lincoln, and people think it is him. Many think that it is not. So I thought, why don't we go to the source? And some folks on here who I see on tonight may have known that I used to do weekly spirit box sessions where I'd bring through loved ones and stuff.
Right.
So before, I thought I'm going to see if I can bring through President Lincoln. So before the Facebook Live begins, I sit there and I use flashlights, and I said, President Lincoln, I would like to ask you if you would come through. There's going to be a lot of people watching. I'm going to point to the screen, and I pointed to my screen. I'm going to point like this. I want to see if it's a picture of you. Could you tell us through this device? I try to set it up as best as I can, whether or not this is you. Yeah. And the flashlight goes on, and then it turns off. And I'm like, okay, that's great. And I said, it's okay if other people see us have this interaction. You could talk through this box. And it goes on and goes off. And I said, I have one more question. Can I ask Mary Todd Lincoln a question? And it goes on and goes off. So I'm like, very cool. So we start up the session, and I put up the picture, and I said, President Lincoln, is this you? And through the spirit box, it says, yes, it is.
Wow. Yeah.
And I got starstruck, and I start getting like really kind of, and the comments start going crazy. Like, oh my God, you got him. Oh my God, you got him. So, because I wanted to ask Mary Todd Lincoln a question. Right. And so I said, okay, I got very flustered. And so I said, my original question to Mary Todd Lincoln was going to be, Mrs. Lincoln, when you were living, you spoke to the dead. Now that you're dead, do you speak to the living? Very simple. I'm going to play a clip for you. And you can hear I mess up this question really bad because I'm overwhelmed. I mess it up, and you're going to, I believe you hear her responding. Okay. Yeah. So here it is.
Mrs. Lincoln, you spent your entire life reaching out to spirits. Do you talk to other people? Do you talk to other people as a spirit, to other living people? Talk about what?
That's amazing.
Isn't that cool?
That is cool. That is amazing.
It is amazing. And I'm not going to play the whole thing again, but there is a point that I said, when you were living, you talked to spirits, and you hear this man say, I know.
Yeah.
That's the voice we had for Lincoln.
Yeah.
So,
people don't realize that Abraham Lincoln and Mrs. Lincoln were greatly into the realm of spirit and communicating with spirits. Yeah. And Lincoln had premonitions of his death. And most people aren't aware of that, but he had premonitions of his death. I had, it was the greatest privilege for me on the planet to be able to be asked by, I was contacted by Atlas Media, which is one of the biggest media organizations in New York. And my wife and I were living in New York then. and I was contacted by them to do the pilot for the History Channel. Atlas Media and the History Channel were working in concert. So there had been several quote unquote paranormal investigators and psychics and mediums that had gone to these venues in the past and had made such asses out of themselves that these venues had closed down to the point that they had told people no psychic, no medium, no production crew is ever coming here again to do a ghost show, period. End of discussion. And so after they had interviewed me extensively, and due to the cachet of Atlas Media and the History Channel, they said, look, we've got this guy. He's not a flake. He's not into histrionics. He's not going to embarrass you, himself, or us, or anything. This is the real deal. And they said, okay, we'll open up for you guys on that condition. So with that, I got to go into these places that had been totally shut down to psychic investigation for years. And I got to stand in these historic places where these historic events had occurred. And the way we went to these places, me and the film crew, they would open up, lock the doors, and there we were inside alone. The docents would disappear. There were no tourists. It was me and the camera crew, and I got to wander around these places at will. Ford's Theater, the Peterson House, the Mud House, and wander where I wanted and do what I wanted and interact with the memories, the energies, the active spirits that were still there. It was the most amazing, mind-blowing thing I've ever encountered. It was such a privilege to be able to do that.
So what was the standout energy at like places?
Big thing we may have been, now this is a long time ago, decades ago, that we shot the pilot, and we may have been the very first to use FLIR, forward-looking infrared radiation.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
We may have been the very first to use that in a paranormal investigation. And the way we had the camera set up, we had it set up where anything hot would show white on film, and anything cold would show black on film. So they were filming me with a regular camera and with a FLIR camera. We were at the Mud House, and everybody heard, the docents, the film crew, everybody heard this loud noise downstairs. And I said, there's our ghost. Let's get down there. We went down with the camera, and I was standing in this area, and I said, I believe this is Mrs. Mudd communicating with us. And I said, Mrs. Mudd, is that you? And I said, she's telling me yes, that it's her. And I said, she's over here to my right, and she's walking toward me. And I said, I feel her energy passing through me. She's walking through me right now and coming out the other side. And when I said that, on the FLIR camera, we got black footsteps indicating cold, not heat. So it wouldn't have been a person.
Mm-hmm.
And there were these black footsteps, women's size footsteps in period era shoes, walking across the floor toward me and through me as I said that. And we caught that on the FLIR camera.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm going to say, though, I did a session many months later where I brought through John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah.
He wouldn't talk about he wouldn't talk about the assassination. He loved talking about his career, but he didn't talk about the assassination attempt.
The amazing thing is, and I didn't know this, I didn't know anything about the Lincoln assassination other than Booth killed Lincoln. I was like, that was it. So everything I got psychically. But what I learned and what was amazing was, and this makes perfect sense, was the ego that Booth had to have, because in his day and time, he was Tom Cruise.
Yes.
He was that popular. He was that well known. He was literally the Tom Cruise of his day. And one of the things when I shot the pilot, they kept going back to over and over as we traced his trail after he had assassinated Lincoln and went to all these historic places. They kept asking me, at any point along here, does he show any remorse or any regret? And I said, no. He is absolutely, totally, completely thrilled with what he did. He believes 100% in what he did. There's no remorse. There's no repentance ever, not even up to the point of his death.
Nope. And he even marked me after when I did the session. He marked me. He was not, and he stayed around the house for about a week and freeloading.
Yeah.
And but to your point too, for those who don't realize, John Wilkes Booth thought everybody thought the same way he did about Lincoln, and that the whole country was just going to side with him in the conspiracy.
He viewed himself as the hero. He viewed himself as the country savior. He was doing the country a favor. And what's interesting, the conspiracy went so deep beyond Booth that it was unreal. And, it boggled my mind to step into that and to realize how deep that conspiracy went and how many machinations were in place to take down the country, basically.
Absolutely. Now, we didn't get to exactly where I wanted to go tonight, but it's been a lot of fun. So, John, you're absolutely right. We need to get you back on. For those listening again, to see what John does on a psychic level, if there's a way he can help you, go to johnrussell.net.
Right.
And then for his books, you can go to johnrussellauthor.com. We have about 20 seconds left. If they go through your website, John, do they get like signed copies, or?
There is a place that they can buy signed copies through the website. Yeah.
Absolutely. That is fantastic. What a great conversation. And, John, you and I could just have to kind of brainstorm what we're going to focus on next time, because we haven't even talked about.
We haven't even scratched the surface.
No, we haven't talked about the UFO experiencer. That's why, folks, you got to send AM 950 a note. Say, we got to expand GhostBox Radio to 2 hours.
Yeah. Because it's like the hour goes by so quickly. And I mean, I've got way over 1,000 physical paranormal manifestations to talk about, and we haven't scratched the surface of it. This has been going on since I was 5 years old. I'm
Absolutely.
70 now, and some of these things are so mind-blowing you can't even believe them. It's just unreal.
Absolutely. John Russell, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back
Greg,
tomorrow.
I appreciate it.
We'll be back tomorrow with Anthony Sanchez, and then we'll back in studio Friday with Casual Friday. Everyone take care.
Standing Up to the Hatriots, the David Pakman Show, weekdays